When I think back to that evening, I still remember how ordinary it began. I had just finished a long day at work, the kind of day that drains you more mentally than physically. My mind was heavy with tasks, conversations, and the silent pressure of deadlines. The air outside was warm, and my only thought was to reach home, change into something comfortable, and let my mind rest. As I walked through the hallway, I was lost in thought, barely noticing the details around me. My apartment had always been my safe space, a place where no one entered without me knowing. That was why, when I turned the handle to my room and saw him there, sitting as if he had been waiting, the world seemed to pause. In my room. For a moment, I simply stood frozen, my hand still on the door, my thoughts racing faster than I could process. How did he get in? Was something wrong at work? Was I in trouble? My heart pounded hard, not just from surprise but from the sheer unfamiliarity of the scene. He sat there calmly, his posture relaxed, almost as though my shock was expected. There was no sign of urgency, no anger in his face, just a quiet seriousness that made the moment even stranger. He didn't move toward me, didn't try to fill the silence with explanations right away. He simply met my eyes and said, "We need to talk." I stepped inside slowly, my mind still struggling to make sense of this. It wasn't like him to blur the lines between work and personal space. At the office, he was strict but fair, professional to the core. I had never once imagined him stepping into my private life in this way. He gestured toward the chair across from him, and I hesitated, feeling an odd mix of curiosity and unease. I sat down, still gripping my bag like it was a shield. His tone was calm, almost gentle, when he began speaking. "Don't be alarmed. Nothing bad has happened," he said. "I was nearby for some work errands, and something told me I needed to see you. Not at the office. Here." His choice of words puzzled me. Why here? Why now? There was something deliberate about the way he looked at me, as if he was preparing for a conversation he had been carrying inside him for a long time. My questions grew heavier, but I didn't interrupt. "I'm here because there's something I've wanted to tell you for a while," he continued. The words hung in the air, heavy with meaning I couldn't yet guess. I leaned forward slightly, my curiosity pushing past my initial discomfort. He didn't break eye contact, and there was a calm steadiness in his voice that kept me from panicking. Whatever this was, it wasn't impulsive. He had thought about it, planned it, and chosen this moment. My heart thudded harder as I realized this was only the beginning of whatever he had come to say. I didn't know what to say, so I stayed silent, letting him take the lead. He seemed to sense my unease, but he didn't rush. "I noticed something at the office today," he began, his voice even but laced with a quiet concern. "You weren't yourself. You were distant, distracted. I've seen you push through challenges before, but today felt different." I tried to dismiss it, saying it was nothing, but he shook his head lightly. "It's not nothing. I've been watching you work for months now, and I can tell when something weighs on you." His words caught me off guard. I had never thought he paid such close attention to me outside of assigning tasks or checking progress. "You've always given more than what's asked," he continued. "You stay late without complaint, you carry responsibilities others shy away from, and you never make a show of it. That kind of dedication doesn't go unnoticed." I felt a faint heat rise in my face. Compliments weren't something I expected from him, especially not like this. He leaned back slightly, his gaze steady. "But it's not just your work ethic. Over time, I've realized I've been seeing you differently. Not as just an employee, but as a person I admire for who you are." His words were careful, as though each one had been weighed before leaving his mouth. My mind raced, trying to catch up. I had always respected him as a boss, someone who led with fairness and discipline, but I had never thought about what he saw when he looked at me. There was no hint of awkwardness in his tone, no inappropriate edge, just a sincerity that felt rare. "I didn't come here to make you uncomfortable," he said. "I came because I think it's important you know what's been on my mind." I don't want to leave things unsaid and look back wondering if I should have spoken. I searched his face for any sign of an ulterior motive, but all I found was a kind of calm honesty that made me unsure how to respond. Inside, I felt a strange mix of emotions: confusion, curiosity, and an unexpected warmth. I thought back to small moments at work, the way he would quietly step in to handle conflicts before they reached my desk, the rare smile he'd give when I solved a problem under pressure, the subtle way he made sure I had what I needed without drawing attention. Perhaps I had overlooked more than I realized. Before I could speak, he added, "There's something about you that's changed me. I can't explain it easily, but I know it's real. I'm not here to ask for anything from you. I'm here because I think you deserve to know." His words settled heavily in the room, and in that stillness, I realized this conversation was far from over. Whatever he was building toward, it was clear this was only the foundation of it. He paused for a long moment, almost as if giving me space to absorb what he had just said. I could feel the weight of his words lingering in the air. "I've thought about this for a long time," he began again, his tone softer now. "From the day you joined, you've had this quiet strength about you. At first, I respected it as a professional quality, but over time it became something more personal. I found myself caring about how you felt, even outside of work matters." He spoke without hesitation, yet I could tell he had rehearsed these thoughts in his mind many times before. I listened, trying to keep my thoughts clear, but his sincerity was disarming. "I want to be honest with you," he continued. "I have feelings for you, not sudden, not shallow, but something that's been growing steadily. I've kept it to myself because I never wanted to put you in a position where you felt pressured. But I also know that keeping it buried isn't fair to either of us." His voice didn't tremble, but there was a certain vulnerability in his expression that I hadn't seen before. My mind sifted through every past interaction, wondering if there had been signs I had missed. I remembered small gestures, how he would ensure I had support during tight deadlines, how he would defend my ideas in meetings, how his tone would soften when we spoke privately about work. At the time, I saw them as simple kindness, nothing more. Now they felt like pieces of a puzzle I hadn't realized existed. He took a breath before adding, "I'm not asking you to answer me right now. I don't want to blur the lines we've built in our professional relationship unless you truly feel the same way. All I want is for you to know this comes from a place of respect and genuine care." That word, respect, echoed in my mind. It was the kind of assurance that stripped away any sense of threat. He wasn't here to push me. He was here to give me the truth. I felt an unexpected pull inside me. Part of me wanted to protect the stability I had at work, to keep things simple. But another part couldn't ignore the warmth in his voice and the rare comfort I felt sitting across from him. This wasn't some impulsive confession. It was thoughtful, deliberate, and rooted in time spent knowing each other. He leaned forward slightly, just enough to show his focus hadn't shifted. "Whatever you decide, I'll respect it completely. Your comfort matters more to me than anything else." His eyes held mine steadily, and for the first time since this began, I realized my own heartbeat had slowed. I wasn't afraid of his words. I was afraid of how much they resonated with something I hadn't allowed myself to feel until now. I sat there in silence, letting everything sink in. His words had shifted something inside me, not in an overwhelming rush, but in a quiet, undeniable way. I thought about the months we had worked together, the countless moments when his actions spoke louder than any praise. He had been a constant, firm when necessary, understanding when it mattered, and careful never to cross lines that would make me uncomfortable. That alone made this conversation feel different from anything I had imagined. "I don't know what to say right now," I admitted finally, my voice steady but low. "This isn't something I ever expected to hear from you. I need time to think." He nodded immediately, as though he had been hoping for exactly that response. "I understand completely," he said. "There's no rush, no expectation. I only wanted you to know how I feel, so I wouldn't carry it silently anymore." There was no attempt to sway me with further words, No effort to make me answer in the moment, just a quiet acceptance. We spoke for a little longer, not about love or feelings, but about how we would move forward professionally. He made it clear that nothing at work would change unless I wanted it to. His focus on preserving respect between us somehow deepened the sincerity of everything he had said before. It wasn't about taking something from me, it was about sharing something with me, and then stepping back to let me choose what to do with it. When he finally stood to leave, there was no awkwardness in his movements, only a calm politeness. He said, "Whatever happens, I'm grateful for the person you are. That won't change." There was a simplicity in the statement that lingered after he walked out. I closed the door behind him and stood still for a moment, feeling the room return to its usual quiet. Yet it didn't feel exactly the same. As I moved around the room, I realized how much of my mind was already replaying our conversation. I thought about the moments when I had appreciated his presence more than I had admitted to myself. I thought about the way he had never used his position to demand anything from me. Most of all, I thought about how rare it was to have someone speak with such direct honesty, without games or hidden motives. That night I didn't sleep easily. It wasn't restlessness born from worry. It was the unfamiliar warmth of knowing that someone I had respected deeply saw me in a way I had never considered. The future felt uncertain, but not in a frightening way. It felt like a door had been quietly unlocked, waiting for me to decide whether to step through. And for the first time in a long while, I found myself wondering what might happen if I did.